What's up, y'all? Talon here, doing something a little bit different today. So the Regulation H format just dropped. I was registering for Baltimore Regionals for the VGC, and yeah, just came on Twitter, excited to see who else made it in, and we got a surprise drop of the next competitive format after the World Championship. So all of you who complained about legendaries throughout the years, you know, everyone on stream, they win without skill with their stupid legendaries. You finally got your wish. No legendary Pokemon at all, not just cover legendaries, but no legendaries at all, or Paradox Pokemon in the future Regulation H rule set. So yeah, that's going to be really interesting. I thought today, just to explore that format, I would do a tier list just over all the legal Pokemon. Usually I have a good idea of the power level of a format, but this one I'm kind of lost on. I haven't kept track of which Pokemon from the original Pokédex have been added to the DLC, or rather I know what Pokemon there are, but I've only thought of them in the context of like the most powerful legendaries like Ogerpon, Terapagos, etc. So just looking at the fresh decks without, I guess in the context of Regulation H is definitely going to be a really interesting experience. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, please like the video, subscribe, etc. And yeah, let's just hop into it. So I did a quick tier list, basically all the fully evolved Pokemon in the decks. I guess just like comment on whenever there's something like Clefairy that could otherwise be useful in the decks. I'll just like probably put Clefable in that place essentially. Just because I don't want to create a full tier list from that. But yeah, these are all the bang Pokemon. So we have the cover legendaries like Rayquaza, Kyogre, normal legendaries, Zapdos, mythical legendaries like Deoxys, and I guess there's, yeah, Keldeo in here somewhere. So very, very large ban list. Like I have to scroll down as well as the Paradox Pokemon. I feel like the loss of the Paradox Pokemon is really interesting. We haven't been able to play with that since Regulation A. So people are saying this is Regulation A+, but I think it's definitely going to play very, very differently due to all the new Pokemon here. But honestly, let's start with all the Scarlet and Violet Pokemon. Honestly, Dondozo, we will... Oh no, this is going to be miserable. There's so many Pokemon legal. This is such an overwhelming format. Dondozo, people are thinking of this as Regulation A+, and we'll see if that proves to be the case, but Dondozo was pretty much an S-tier Pokemon before. I don't really see that changing too much, so I think just getting it out of the way early so that we can kind of gauge power levels. Dondozo of various Terra types can kind of just stat check pretty much any non-legendary Pokemon, so I think just kind of having it at the top for the power level is a solid choice. Venusaur, I guess Venusaur is kind of dependent on how good Sun is. I'll put it in, I don't know, it feels kind of like C tier. What are the good, like Ninetales? That doesn't feel correct. Yeah, we're just going to go C tier. Charizard kind of similarly, probably C tier. Solar Power, Sun, not that good. Blastoise, Fake Out, Water Spout, probably, I guess you can Shell Smash, could be kind of cool. We'll put it top of C. Actually just ended up deleting the band tier. If you want to look at it, they are all down here, just at the bottom, but yeah, kind of crowding the screen. Don't need to be doing that necessarily. Might zoom out a little bit just to make things easier for everyone to see. Yeah, Arbok, D tier, Poison, Intimidate, not very valuable. Raichu could be kind of like top of C. There could be some Lightning Rod liability, but until we see that, I'll leave it there. Electric Terrain, not much better. C tier, Sandslash, D tier. Lowland Sandslash, I'll put it C, like maybe low B tier. There could be some... Okay, we'll go C tier until I see a niche for it. Clefairy, Friendguard could be cool. Clefable, probably going to be like C or D tier. Ninetales could be cute. Ninetales Alola, probably A tier. Aurora Veil is going to be really, really valuable. With that in mind, maybe Ninetales could be like low B tier, I imagine, just to override Sun. There could be some value there. Wigglytuff, competitive, decent ability, but overall bad Pokemon. Vileplume, kind of like Venusaur, discount. I guess we'll just put them together. Doug Trio, could see some cheese. C tier. I think this one is like worse objectively, the Ground Steel one. Persian, bad. Lowland Persian, sometimes decent. We'll put it low B tier until we can figure out more Swift Swim Pokemon. This is the best one I've seen so far, but I imagine Kingdra is in the decks and probably a little bit better. Let's go bottom of C. Maybe we can Cloud9, but I doubt it. Let's go D. Arcanine was top tier in Regulation A. We'll put it up top near A for now, but we do have the Alolan Arcanine. Yeah, that's going to be valuable on the offensive teams. Poliwrath as a water fighting sweeper. Oops, sorry. Lost control of the mouse there. Sleep Powder, Victory Bell, same deal. We have like Lilligant, Hisui, so these Pokemon are all probably kind of worthless. I guess we'll have Torkoal in the decks, so we're really just looking at kind of Trick Room mix-up Pokemon. I think Vileplume might learn after you. I don't think this guy does. Yeah, they're all pretty bad, but honestly, given Lilligant's in the decks, we'll only go with one of them. Let's just put Venusaur, put it with its friends over there. Tentacruel, bad. It learns Haze, I guess. You can go for a cute Terra type to beat Dondozo, and it's pretty bulky, but pass. Golem, bad. Galvanize Golem with the electric type explosion, kind of meme tier, maybe bottom of C. Could have some niches for electric type moves. Slowbro, that's going to be interesting. Let's go. I guess it's like a decent Trick Room setter. We'll see how the metagame progresses. This guy is apparently like decent in singles, but I imagine is pretty bad. Poison type's a bad offensive typing. Just being weak to Earthquake is not ideal. Psychic not going to be great either. Let's put it at the bottom. This should probably just be high C, TBH, Dugtrio. Let's get you, honestly, I feel like it's probably like C tier. This is kind of like Mimi tier. Pokemon, Dugong. It was good in a restricted format. So it's cool in that it gets Fake Out and Parasong, and I believe Gothitail's legal, so I kind of want to put it like high C tier. Seems solid. Muck, Minimize, Cheese, bad. Bad, well, whatever. It's usually this one that's higher for the Minimize Cheese. Electrode. Someone was doing some juice with this in like Regulation A or Regulation B. I'll put it B, C tier out of Faith. Kelio. Let's get this guy out of here. The Hisuian Electrode. So what do we gain from grass typing? Maybe a resistance to Earthquake. It could be a Dondozo wall, actually. I see the vision. I could see it being Dondozo pretty consistently, unless they are like Earthquake, Wave Crash, Terra, Grass is what the most common set was, I think, at the end of Regulation A. So I could actually see the Hisuian Electrode's grass typing beating that pretty hard, and being able to hit it with an electric move before it terras. I guess grass type before it terras too, but interesting. Executor, Trick Room, Sleep Powder Pokemon. Depends on how good Sun is, which I don't know if Sun's going to be any good at all, truthfully. I kind of feel like it's probably C tier. So Executor is honestly, like, all of this is just like Sun tier. Probably pretty bad, but maybe could have something. Alolan Executor. I wonder if it learns Dragon Cheer. I guess there are some new tools in the metagame. I feel like Alolan Executor is like never good though. Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, those are dumpster tier. Galarian Weezing and normal Weezing could have some solid niches with the neutralizing gas. They're definitely better than Persian. Probably better, almost certainly better than Clefairy because they can neutralize and gas Dondozo as well as prevent Hail from going up. I feel like Weezing might be maybe not A tiers but like high B tiers, but of the Pokemon we've seen so far, definitely A tier. Tauros, normal, bad. Tauros Water was like a secret sleeper pick and probably would have ended up being one of the more dominant Pokemon in... Yeah, the fighting type Tauros is also pretty bad. So before the format switch, the fire type Tauros and the water type Tauros, the water one was really, really strong against Dondozo. You could just intimidate it. You weren't knocked out by Wave Crash. It was a solid pick. Some people were running Scarf Chilling Water. I think it could be a good option here. Gyarados as well. Could be a solid Dondozo matchup. It's really just a bunch of... These Pokemon are all carried by their abilities, but in a restricted format that can just be what you need. This guy learns Parasong, really bulky, but probably not great. Ditto. You could Ditto copy a Dondozo, but then you'll lose if it's like a rest set, so probably pretty bad, but maybe... It's probably like D tier, truthfully. You really need the power format in a format to be very high for Ditto to have value. Evolutions, Vaporeon does have Haze. It's probably about as good as the other bulky waters, I imagine. Snorlax could be a good Belly Drum Pokemon, but the issue is a Belly Drum Snorlax is as strong as I believe a Swords Dance Ursaluna, which is just like kind of sad. So I am inclined to put it in like pretty low C tier. Thick Fat could be something if like Sun and Hail teams become good, but I doubt it. Dragonite. We've lost the Chien-Pao that made it really, really strong, but it's at least B tier, I have to imagine. It's better than Persian. Meganium, trash. There is some eruption stuff you can do with Typhlosion, but this is again probably like just Sun Fire Spam tier. Noctowl, you'll see Wolf using that around the Super Bowl for Superb Owl Sunday, but that's about it. Okay, this could be really good actually. Azumarill, if not for Palafin, like near, I think it was Regulation B, where there was a strong team when people just didn't want to switch out the Palafin on rain teams, they'd just use Azumarill with Choice Band, and that was really strong. Politoed, I guess a Parasong Pokemon, but kind of C tier. Jumpluff, Sun tier. Umbreon. Looking at this is really dependent on who the top offensive Pokemon are. If there's like a good Psychic type or a Pokemon that Umbreon can wall, it tends to be decent. But Dondozo is not really one of those, I think. Slowking, like it's kind of in the same tier as Slowbro. Slowbro I feel like is generally better because it takes advantage of the physical bulk better than Slowbro takes advantage of the special bulk. This guy is apparently good in singles with chilly reception, but probably isn't very good here. Blaziken, yeah, it doesn't seem good. I'm inclined to put it pretty low just because the bulk is just so non-existent and the power is also pretty low. Heracross has had some good years in previous formats when there's a strong Psychic type, but that's looking pretty unlikely, so I'll put it in D tier. Houndoom actually 100%, it used to 100% wall the Armarouges until they got the Meteor Beam TM before, like, it had Flash Fire and a Dark type, so it walled Expanding Force and Heat Wave and the Armor Cannon, but not anymore, so the niche is completely gone. Smeargle, okay. Now we're kind of cooking. So Smeargle's going to have really... Decorate could be good this format, like you could even Scarf Decorate some stuff. Scarf Spore. Yeah, I could see Smeargle being good. I don't think A tier necessarily, but definitely a solid B tier supporter. Hitmontop. Wide Guard plus Fake Out against Dondozo could be cool against Pokemon that are only weak to Earthquake. You could probably get some solid enough pins with that, where it's decent enough. Blissey, no point. Tyranitar. I'm trying to remember how good Tyranitar was. In the Regulation B was really strong, but that was mainly because it like paired well pretty well. Or it did well against a lot of the Ruin Pokemon. It walled a couple of them. And in Tailwind could beat some as well. I don't want to count Tyranitar out, but it does seem to fare pretty poorly against the top tier Pokemon. We'll see. Sceptile, Dragon Cheer stuff, like maybe. Swampert, I don't really see being good. Mightyena, Ludicolo could be a Rain Sweeper. It does really well against Palafin whenever we get to that. It does well against Dondozo until they pop a Terra, I guess. So maybe it could be a Parasong supporter. Like, I don't really see the vision. It's probably pretty low C tier at best, but yeah. Shiftry has Wind Rider. There are Prankster Tailwind setters this format, so that could be good. I'd say like it's hitting pretty strong. It has a good niche against Dondozo, I guess. Let's just put it high C tier, I think. Pelipper, okay. Up there, probably A tier. Like it can Wide Guard against Dondozo. You can force them to do a lot of stuff. You can like Hurricane them, set up Tailwind against them. Yeah, I think easily A tier on Pelipper. In a limited format, just having the weather and good coverage moves is going to be really important. And as you'll see later on, the water coverage is going to come in handy. Breloom, I guess you can Spore. It's kind of like, why would I not just use Smeargle? Yeah, I'm not loving Breloom. I'll put it low in case a niche arises. Shaman out of here. Slacking. Cheese tier with Weezing. Hariyama. I feel like Hariyama actually didn't get an entirely fair shake in Regulation A, and it was actually a pretty good Pokemon. I'll put it low B tier right now because I think it was actually pretty strong. Maybe A. But it does have Fake Out, Flame Orb, Wide Guard, which are pretty valuable tools, I think. Sableye, honestly, like, yeah, again, around C tier, solid supporter, but not amazing. Medicham, really, like, you can, I guess there's like skill swap stuff that I saw in Regulation A, but it's not good. Illumise, I guess Volbeat is like kind of similar, but Illumise seems a little bit stronger. I know Carson Confer did well at a tournament with it early on. I don't know how much of that was serious, but it did have some cute tools. It was like Tailwind Fake Tears Encore, Struggle Bug or something like that, but yeah, interesting Pokemon. Probably upper C tier as a Prankster Tailwind user. Have to imagine it's like a little worse than Hariyama, but similar as Sableye. Camerupt, in a format where Torkoal can erupt, it's not good. Speaking of which, Torkoal, the only really good Sunsetter, I think. This is definitely A tier. Just in, like, it can make Trick Room teams functionally very strong on its own. So I think it's definitely probably low A tier, maybe upper B tier. Because it does... Oh, Trick Room teams are going to have Ursaluna Blood Moon and the option to go for the Ursaluna, the other form, the main form. Yeah, that's a good... That's going to be a good benchmark for power level, actually. Those are going to blow things away when we get to the later tiers. So Incineroar is still legal, spoiler, so I think Milotic is like not that bad. But the problem is Rillaboom will also be legal, we'll get to that. I see it like probably B tier is fair. Honestly, Coil's an annoying set. I could see it being pretty decent. Banette, no. Dusclops, probably low C tier. Unless I'm missing something. You can Will-O-Wisp Dondozo, you can Pain Split Dondozo. No, especially because the knockoff from Incineroar, when we get to that, it's going to be really painful. Honestly, let's just like get those out of the way. Where's Incineroar? Yeah. We've talked about it enough. Let's get it on the tier list. It's definitely going to be minimum high A tier, I would guess. Possibly S tier. I'm guessing actually S tier. And then Rillaboom as well. I'll find that and just put it up there because, again, just the fake out chains are really important against Dondozo. And they can also just like U-turn chain around and combo insanely well with each other. Yeah, all the Pokemon being added from Pokemon Home are... Honestly, if they just like did a home ban, this would be a very interesting tier list or a different interesting format. But with all the Pokemon from home, it just gets out of hand very quickly. Salamence was actually good at the end of Regulation A. It was really strong on a rain team, in fact. And it does really well into Incineroar, Rillaboom, and Dondozo, kind of, if they are not the Order Up one, but I have to imagine they will be, just because the Incineroar cycling is going to be kind of a pain. It's only really good on rain is the issue, but rain is so strong. Regardless, I think it is probably like B tier, maybe a little worse than Torkoal overall, but quite a powerful Pokemon. Metagross is so strong as a Pokemon, like a 600 BST monster, but like the power level, it doesn't really compete well. It doesn't do well into Incineroar. Gets U-turned out against by Rillaboom. Yeah, I don't love Metagross, honestly. I think it might be upper C tier. It's kind of like an explosion bot to some extent. Like the Steel Psychic coverage just doesn't feel that good a lot of the time. And the Special Bulk has kind of like power crept onto it over the years. I could be wrong though. It could have its niches, but I don't really love it. When a lot of the Incineroar are going to be running like a... Probably faster than Metagross and also a defensive Terra to beat Dondozo and have Will-O-Wisp for that purpose. So I don't love Metagross. I think it's probably like... honestly worse than Vaporeon. Like, Vaporeon can at least haze a Dondozo. Oh, yeah, get rid of the Jirachi. Torterra. Got Shell Smash for a second, but that's like... Is that really doing what you need it to be doing? I don't think so. Infernape, Fake Out, Fast Will-O-Wisp. It's like better than Blaziken, I guess, but... not really by much. Yeah, this mon's bad. Empoleon, competitive. Very good ability. It can... beat Incineroar very handily. The Steel type good against Rillaboom. I think Empoleon has some potential. It's like probably around Milotic in potential. One of them's definitely going to differentiate. I think... oh, Milotic learns Haze. That's really important. I'm going to put that above Dragonite then. The Haze on the Milotic. If they're not Terra Grass, that's like your Dondozo matchup. That's really good. Staraptor, you can Choice Scarf. You can get a little chip on Dondozo and then like Choice Scarf Final Gambit. That's cool. Annihilape's a little more consistent, but you can at least go for Intimidate with this guy, which Annihilape can't do. But Annihilape's definitely going to be better at the end of the day. We'll go C tier. Maybe a little better than... Flying type coverage in these formats is kind of hard to come by. There's Reckless Staraptor that did well as well. I think around top of C tier makes sense for it. Pachirisu. So the issue with Patchy is there aren't really any electric types up here, and you want to be taking advantage of the electric type Follow Me immunity. And yeah, not really there at all. Floatzel hits really hard with Choice Band Wave Crashes in rain. Is that necessary? It's like not awful. Let's go C tier. Gastrodon. So Gastrodon's really, really strong as an anti-meta Pokemon when you're playing against Palafin and Azumarill and things like of that nature. Dondozo as well. You can Clear Smog them. yeah, Gastrodon's actually quite strong. Bronzong has some potential for gravity hypnosis stuff. It could be, there's been some mixed Iron Defense body press sets with Trick Room that kind of like double as a sweeper and a Trick Room setter. Unaware Dondozo creams that. It's good against Incineroar for sure. Rillaboom as well. It could be okay. I don't think it's like any, I don't think it's D tier by any means. It's better than a lot of Pokemon here. It's probably better than Metagross, truthfully. Let's put it around Sableye. Probably a little better. Yeah. I think Bronzong's actually pretty strong. Better than Illumise. Illumise like looks strong now because I haven't gotten any other Pregster Pokemon, but when we do, then things go down. Garchomp. You can be like Sandvale abuse with Tyranitar, I guess. I imagine it's decently strong. Like, thinking back to Regulation A, like Honchkrow, Goldengo stuff, you do need something that can beat Goldengo whenever we get there. So I can't imagine Garchomp being C tier. It's probably somewhere in B tier. I'll reorder everything when I get a bit more in. Lucario has Follow Me Final Gambit, which is like fine. It's probably upper D tier for that alone, but not great. Hippowdon, why are we not using Tyranitar? You know, Abomasnow, very strong, I think, as a kind of a Trick Room option. I actually lost to Abomasnow in my first Regulation A tournament in Top Cut against James Evans. He had a really strong team there, and I feel like it definitely has some value. It was always really good against Dondozo. It's not great against Rillaboom because they can U-turn you, but you don't take that much because the boost to Snow. I don't think it's as good as Ninetales. It definitely doesn't have as strong of a utility, but I feel pretty comfortable putting it bottom of B tier. Weavile. So Joe Merrick had this Pokemon. He misinputted it first. It was on the banned list, but I think it's effectively going to be that good anyways. I'm going to put it D tier. I don't think this is a very strong Pokemon. Rhyperior. So this is Lightning Rod. If you wanted to use Pachirisu, you could just use Lightning Rod, Rhyperior, or Rhydon passively. Problem is, like I've said, no electric types. It's a decent Trick Room Pokemon, but there's another ground type Pokemon that's going to far overshadow it pretty soon. I guess I'll put it around Raichu. I don't know. These tiers are like kind of ordered, but also like past a certain point don't really matter. Electivire's not great, but I guess we should talk about Electabuzz. I made a whole video on Electabuzz. Invested so many hours of my life to Electabuzz. Anyways, pretend this is an Electabuzz, it's not an Electivire, so we have the same traits that makes it good against basically Amoonguss. Is it will be a Follow Me Pokemon with Vital Spirit. With Eviolite, Great Bulk. Earthquake weakness is not great against Dondozo though. Knockoff against Incen's annoying. It's like really strong on Trick Room teams, but I wonder if Ursaluna Blood Moon is going to be sufficient on a Trick Room team to like really justify that support. You can feint stuff. I feel like it's definitely top of C tier. It's better than Shiftry, I would guess, by a little bit, but in the same ballpark. Magmortar, which is a stand-in for Magmar. So Flame Body, Follow Me was really Magmar's main niche. Now you can go Vital Spirit a little more consistently, but you could Flame Body, try and paralyze anything that's like trying to Wave Crash you for a KO. That'd be a pretty good trade. You can Clear Smog Dondozo as well. Yeah, you might have a decent Dondozo matchup. You could package this to beat Dondozo pretty well, depending on their Terra. I don't hate the Magmar, actually. I would actually put Magmar maybe a little better than... Like, the utility is solid. I'm going to put it in low B tier. I could see it being like a one-man Dondozo matchup. So Yanmega is kind of just like a Gravity Hypnosis bot, but I don't know if anything gets booster... You can't booster energy gravity, which is like most people's strategy in the past now. So I'm going to put it like D tier. Leafeon, not real. Glaceon, I guess you can go for Blizzards, but I probably wouldn't. Maybe top of like low C tier for Blizzards. Gliscor is not real. Mamoswine's a very strong Pokemon. Probably C tier or B tier because of the Thick Fat's really strong against fire types coverage. I think you can still get burned though, unfortunately, but usually you're going Oblivious to ignore Intimidate, which means you can effectively use your Terra type to beat Rillaboom and just high horsepower Incineroar. So those are really valuable matchups. Yeah, I feel like it's definitely a B tier Pokemon. It's just like being able to beat both Amoonguss, Rillaboom, grass types, and then the Incineroar and Arcanine Intimidate. Oh, Arcanine, I forgot about it, Incineroar. Yeah, Arcanine probably goes down a tier because of Incineroar being present, just a better Will-O-Wisp supporter. If you want to go an offensive Arcanine, you go for the Rock type one anyways. Yeah, Arcanine is probably actually C tier. Unless I'm misreading this. Yeah, I feel like you would always just go Incin for the fake out pressure. This thing's probably like, it's a good Pokemon, and if Incineroar wasn't here, it would be up like in A tier, but yeah, it's kind of just outclassed for the most part. Iron, Great Tusk, not legal. Porygon Z, sometime is like a fine adaptability Hyper Beam spammer, so like probably around here, but not great. Gallade is often used on Trick Room teams. The sharpness boost is like insane power. I still think it's like a C tier Pokemon generally. Beats Incineroar with Clear Amulet, beats a lot of Pokemon with sharpness, Psycho Cuts, Sacred Swords, etc. Sometimes Leaf Blade, sometimes Scope Lens. It's got a lot of variety of sets and it's pretty strong. On Trick Room teams as a wide guard user, but aside from that, not going to be that great. Rotom form. So Rotom is generally a good showing of how a format's power level looks, and it is kind of the main electric type here. Rotom Water is like okay against Dondozo if they're not Terra. It's really good if they're not Terra Grass, but a lot of them are, I would say. But it has a decent matchup into a lot of Pokemon here. I could see it being B tier, like low B tier. It's not bad. Rotom Wash, probably in that same venue of low B tier. Rotom Frost, I don't know if we're really trying to double up on Hail necessarily, but some people will, so like C tier most likely. It's like it has a niche over Arcanine, but Arcanine's better, but yeah, we'll put it there. This is like Run Balloon for your YouTube video tier. Cobalion's not real. Rotom Cut. So Rotom Cut's interesting. It's basically Rotom Wash, but you don't lose to Dondozo's running a Terra Grass or something. That's pretty cool. What does it beat other than that? If Incineroar start running Will-O-Wisp, that's a problem. It doesn't lose the Rillaboom. I could see Rotom Cut being pretty good then, actually. It has its matchups for sure. You don't have to rely on Hydro Pump. You can go for Leaf Storm instead. I actually kind of see the vision here. Yeah, I like Rotom Cut. That's surprising. In the context of what we've seen so far, and all that we've been, and all that we will be, pretty good. The Ambipom, Fake Out Last Resort, not good. Contrary Superior never really got its time to shine, but I think it's like not bad with Terra Blast, because you can go for Stellar Terra Blast and lower your attack and special attack, but actually raise it with Contrary, which is cool. It's probably like upper C tier then. Emboar, not real. Samurott Hisui form, I'm gonna ignore the base form. Spikes are like it's hitting hard with sharpness, probably knocking out some important stuff, but there's not a lot of psychic types, not a lot of ghost types. It's like not bad by any means, but I don't really see the niche. There's so many good water types like Dondozo, Gyarados, Pelipper, Azumarill, Palafin, Rotom. Gastrodon doesn't kind of doesn't count as a water type because it doesn't use water type moves other than Muddy Water, but yeah, I'm gonna put Samurott Hisui kind of low. Like, I guess if you want to stack up the spikes, that's fine, but doesn't seem great. Substrika was actually just good on a ladder team in Regulation G, which I wouldn't have expected, but we can place it somewhere. Lightning Rod, again, not going to be that valuable. Probably bottom of C tier. Excadrill is legal. That feels pretty important, actually. Okay. We're still weak to Intimidate, but we can use Clear Amulet, and you almost certainly are running Clear Amulet, which means you're very weak to the weather setters on the opposing side. Not really weak to Intimidate anymore, but you're not bulky. I don't hate Excadrill, but it's not that good. My mind just might be tainted by Dynamax, where Excadrill was one of the most broken Pokemon in the early formats, but I don't actually think it's that good. Like, you're really just trying to cheese people with Terra Flying plus Earthquake. I'd rather use Garchomp. I don't think the speed's that valuable. I'll keep it low B tier. Let's go high C tier. like fringe high C tier. It's like probably better than Arcanine and Sableye. Maybe not better than Illumise, which is pathetic. Drifblim. So we can go Grassy Seed, Tailwind. You turn into something that could be fine. Will-O-Wisp, Fast Haze. That's actually very valuable against Dondozo. Can't count that out. So maybe it's like somewhere in here. It's probably around Vaporeon, just like cheese a Dondozo while having some additional options. Whimsicott. Now we have a real Prankster Tailwind. It's got to be pretty high up. It enables all the hyper offensive strategies in the format, but what is the power level looking like? It's honestly not looking that crazy. I'm going to put it high A tier for now, but unfortunately I don't see a lot of great abusers for Tailwind just yet. Oh, did I eliminate Honchkrow? I think I did. I totally eliminated Honchkrow, not even thinking about Murkrow. This is going to be the Murkrow stand-in. So Haze just completely invalidates Dondozo teams. You kind of have to keep it in the back, which is a little awkward. They might be able to do too much damage, but Murkrow is okay. It's definitely a B tier Pokemon, but it repairs really well with Choice Specs Goldengo, which I want to be conscious of. So it's definitely at least high C tier, maybe even B tier. Whimsicott's Encore is very, very cool against Dondozo, as is Tailwind plus Fake Tears to lower its special defense and then knock it out with a special attack with a partner. Grass Knot. There's a lot of cool things Whimsicott can do. I think Haze, Sunny Day. I guess Murkrow Sunny Day is like non-trivial as a Sunsetter, but Whimsicott can do that too. So really the only advantage here is Haze and Foul Play. It's strong. I'll think about it in B tier. I think it's like probably high C tier. It is really just there for the Haze, and you're a lot worse against other stuff. It depends on how strong Dondozo is generally. Lilligant. So usually what they go for is Sleep Powder in past generations, Leaf Storm after you, Protect or something? Helping Hand? I don't know. But Lilligant Hisui does that, but also has 100% accurate moves, plus fighting coverage, which is cool. I think it's generally like probably around Gallade tier. It's a little better, I think, because most like hard Trick Room teams won't all have Gallade, but if they have a Torkoal, there's a good chance they'll have the Lilligant. So we'll include it there. This is like, it is a decent Intimidate Pokemon, but it's not nearly as good as them. It's weak to Dondozo. Really, you're using this for Anger Point strategies, which is like C tier, cheesy. Scrafty. You can go for coaching with this guy under Trick Room, but that was really only viable with Calyrex Ice Rider as a strategy. When you have to like switch out your Trick Room Pokemon as a physical attacker to make that happen, I don't think it's very good. So I think I'll rank Scrafty pretty low. Maybe. I guess it can tank hits against Dondozo and then hit it with a Super Fang, which is like something. I can't imagine it's better. Like in an Incineroar world, it's probably pretty bad. Gothitelle, broken ability, Shadow Tag. Not being able to switch is very, very difficult to deal with. Yeah. You can go for Dondozo Perish Trap stuff. This is a strong Pokemon. Possibly A tier. Usually I overrate Gothitelle. There's always one really busted Gothitelle Pokemon in a format, so I think it's probably better than Milotic. Maybe better than Clefairy. I think I'll put it like mid B tier though. It's a strong Pokemon for now. We'll keep it there. And Amoonguss. There is my best friend. Here we go, bestie. Low C tier? No. So as far as I can tell, there are no terrains on this. There's no electric terrain that seems pretty viable. No Misty terrain. I guess Weezing could be Misty terrain as a bit of Amoonguss counterplay, but outside of that, Amoonguss is just like so busted in Regulation A. It almost single-handedly forced Dondozo to be running Terra Flying. So really, Dondozo are kind of just picking between beating things like Gastrodon with Clear Smog or beating Amoonguss with Terra Flying. They kind of just have to like pick their Terra on their team to be something like Terra Steel, to beat Clear Smog Amoonguss, Terra Grass to beat Spore, and then Terra Blast water types like Haze Palafin. It's like a weird dance that Dondozos used to have to play, and Amoonguss kind of just like punishes them if they pick one wrong, which I like a lot, and then is just like generally great utility. Might not be a S tier necessarily. In my heart, it's probably like top of S tier, but I don't know if that's realistic, because it does fare kind of poorly against Incineroar, Rillaboom. Dondozo, it's like, it's a check dependent on how how their team is made and how the metagame is trending. But against a lot of other Pokemon, it's just like very strong, especially in rain teams. I think it's probably like top of A tier. That feels fair. Top of A tier feels pretty fair to me. I don't think I'm being too biased. Mienshao. Mienshao is Fake Out, Wide Guard, as does Hariyama. It's kind of like a aggro Hariyama, but it really only gets usage against as like a Incineroar clear. It forces them into Terra or Switch because you're inner focused. They can't Fake Out you, so you get to just do what you want against it. Beyond that, I'm not sure what the value is. I mean, inner focus is great. It's an awesome ability. Could be Taunt. It's like not bad Fake Out, but I think Hariyama is probably going to be a little better. Let me put it probably around Dugong tier. I don't necessarily see the niche. Braviary could be good. There's not a lot of good flying type coverage in the metagame that I've seen yet. And Defiant means it beats Incineroar, it beats Rillaboom, it beats Amoonguss. The Tauroses it does pretty well against all these except for the Hisuian Arcanine. Decent. I think Braviary could be decent. Not better than Murkrow by any means, but okay. Let's go above Arcanine. There's some niche. It's like not great, but it has some stuff. Hydreigon. Okay, Hydreigon in Regulation A was functionally a Scope Lens Draco Meteor bot to just wipe out Dondozo. If they're not running Order Up, you can do that pretty consistently. I don't know if the format will centralize around Dondozo on the same level as before. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if the format's going to be entirely centralized around Dondozo like it was before. I lost sight of where the Hydreigon is. There it is. Okay. But it does well against a lot of Pokemon. Like Amoonguss with the crits, it's probably not KOing. It's kind of bad against these guys. So it walls Palafin. It's got some good stuff. I think Hydreigon's pretty good. Not better than Salamence because Salamence also offers... it can also do the Scope Lens things, but it also has Intimidate, which is cool. I'm going to put it like kind of low B tier. I think that's like roughly where it is. Volcarona, Quiver Dance, Will-O-Wisp. It has some stuff for sure. It's not going to be able to Clear Smog Dondozo, but you can Will-O-Wisp it. You can go for a cute Terra type, or at least like you go Rocky Helmet, Rage Powder. They're going to take a lot of HP and then possibly burn themselves. It's not a gamble you want to be taking, but it's something. Can also go Quiver Dance, but that's really bad against Dondozo. I think it's probably like C tier if I had to guess, because I imagine there's going to be a lot of water types in this format. So probably better than Gallade, I would say. Oh, surely Electivire is better than Serperior. Why is Serperior so high? Nah, Contrary is not that good. Let's bring this down a bit. Chestnut, so Bulletproof when Fluttermane isn't real is like not that good, but I'll put it high, like in case there's any... I doubt it. You can like Leaf Seed stall Dondozo. Talonflame. So a Trick Room user with Will-O-Wisp that is, or a Tailwind user that with Will-O-Wisp that is not Drifblim. Incineroar is really bad for it. Like you can Fake Out before you get the Tailwind off, potentially snipe it with a partner. That's really bad. I don't think it's going to be very good this format. Like the power level and the amount of Intimidate just seems a little too strong for a Talonflame Tailwind Resurgence. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think it's going to be very good. I'll put it probably around, like, it's probably better than Metagross, so it'll find some usage, but like Vaporeon probably has more utility. Vivillon, this guy gets like embedded Fake Out immunity or like near 100% Sleep Powder depending on the ability, but it's probably not very good. Malamar, like bottom of C tier. It's going to be a contrary Pokemon that can superpower Incineroar and kind of stack boosts. Trick Room as well, but stacking boosts against Dondozo doesn't matter. There's going to be a lot of Intimidate this metagame, so I guess that could probably like push it up a little bit. Yeah, I think it's probably like maybe a little worse than Metagross potentially. Sylveon, We don't have Flutter Mane anymore. This could be something. Yawn Pressure too could be interesting. It won Worlds and Seniors, I think. It's like a decent Pokemon. The Rillaboom matchup's pretty horrible, but I don't know. It's like probably better than Volcarona. Or let's call it better than Shiftry. Maybe a little worse than Electabuzz in terms of utility. Gudra, I think it's largely just worse than Hisui and Gudra, which already isn't great, but you can Iron Defense Body Press stuff. Be immune to Grass type moves if you want to with Sap Sipper, or crits with Shell Armor, which is interesting. You're still going to lose a 1v1 to Dondozo, I think. But it does have a lot of cool coverage moves, and we might need that this metagame, so I could see Gudra being like probably better than Arcanine and superior. Let's call it a round Sableye tier. Klefki. Klefki had a run in Regulation B, I believe. Maybe A. A lot of that was in part due to it being better against Flutter Mane and other fairy types, and that niche is like no longer really relevant. Spread Dazzling Gleam. It's like good chip, I guess. Thunderwave. You can Thunderwave Dondozo. And Friends. I'll put Klefki. Yeah, the resistances on this Pokemon just aren't great, on the offense isn't that good either. It's like probably going to be a solid screens Pokemon. I don't know if it'll be better than Grimmsnarl, truthfully. Primarina is not bad. It has really decent stats. It's probably around Sylveon viability. At least it has water typing to beat Incineroar a little bit. So yeah, I'll just put it next to Sylveon for my sanity. Not overthink it too hard. It's probably a little better than Sylveon because of the typing. Bombi. Maybe there's something you can do with Speed Swap. I have to imagine there's some cheese this guy can do. Oh god. Lycanroc. Okay. So that's really good for Len. I think he's probably more of a Garchomp guy though. But Wahaha Cough gonna love spamming Choice Scarf Rock Slide plus Lycanroc turn 1. Plus Endeavor if you hit it. So yeah, I mean it's gonna be good. A little bit. I'm gonna put it probably like, it's like a Weather Abuser around Rotom tier level. It's like decent. It does its job well. Araquanid. So Incineroar, hard answer. Doesn't love facing Rillaboom. Can wide guard in front of Dondozo. Tanks a lot of its stabs, but what does it do back? It's got its niches for sure. Let's put it probably over Rotom W. I think it definitely has some niches. Lurantis is a contrary superpower Pokemon, I believe. Or I guess maybe you can Leaf Storm. I don't remember. I think it is like a Leaf Storm guy. Oh, it's a Superpower Leaf Storm Terra Blast. It's like kind of Superior-esque, right? Oh no, Superior, like it's like a D tier Superior, because Superior is at least fast, can use Glare, things like that. Okay, we're starting to get to some of the new powerful Pokemon. Almost. But yeah, Salazzle, a fake out Pokemon, looking for the niche here. Not a lot of fairy types to triple resist. Not a lot of grass types to triple resist outside of Rillaboom, which you'd rather just have the Intimidate to tank it a little bit better from. You can Encore Dondozo if you're max speed, and they're not, I think. But yeah, this kind of feels like a pretty low tier Pokemon. You're going to take a lot from Knockoff, from Incin. You're still getting put asleep. You can overheat it, I guess, but you can overheat Ninetales. Hold on. I'll keep it in C tier. You know what? You know what, Jamie? You're alright. You're alright. Yeah. Better than Vaporeon, potentially. Around there. Better than Talonflame. I'll give it that. Serena. So priority blocking is really important in metagames where you are using really powerful restricted Pokemon. You don't want your Kyogre getting Grassy Glit or Fake Outed when you're going for Choice Scarf, Assault Vest, or Choice Specs attacks. You want to have that fake out blocking, but I think in general the lack of bulk here is kind of concerning. You're not going to be hitting that hard. I'd rather just have a Farigiraf a lot of the time if I'm going for this guy, so I think it is probably like, it'll have its niches, but yeah, it's probably going to be low C tier. Comfy. This is centered around floral healing stuff. When a Pokemon like Rillaboom is just so good, I think that does make some sense to just like slot a Comfy on your team in some situations, so it's probably like C tier. It could be part of like a complex Dondozo answer where you have grassy terrain up and you're beating the Dondozo 1v1 where they either have to wave crash your Comfey to knock it out, or just keep like doing damage to your partner, but they heal too much because they're healing 66 every turn from the floral healing plus a grassy terrain. But yeah, this is most likely just going to be a like low tier Pokemon, probably around Klefki. I would guess Oranguru, Trick Room Cheese, but like you can't really argue with Instruct, Double Hyper Voice, or Double Earthquake from a Guts, Ursaluna, Torkoal, Eruption, etc. Pretty strong. It's probably up there in terms of the gimmicks you can use. I would say it's probably better than Braviary. Yeah, it hurts me. It's got to go pretty low, though. Because in terms of like general strength, it's not that strong. I'll put it, yeah, in the Trick Room user tier, where it definitely has its niches, but it's not great. Mimikyu, probably weird Trick Room user tier. Like, is there a world where you use Mimikyu to guarantee get a Trick Room up with Mental Herb and then taunt Amoonguses? Probably. Would I rather just like have a Farigiraf or something in most situations? Yes. So yeah, we'll just throw that probably behind Oranguru and just like, yes, this is the Cheese Trick Room team. Dazzling Guy, very similar. Probably a little bit better though because of the priority blocking. The cooks will definitely be cooking. They'll be chefing it up with this Pokemon, trying to make the perfect uninteractive Trick Room team, and I am excited to see it and feature it on the channel. But until then, it's just going to lie dormant with the other weird Trick Room setters in this tier. Como, I mean, come on, this Pokemon's really strong. Against everything but Dondozo, you can set up Iron Defense. You just one-hit KO Rillaboom, Incineroar, Overcoat to deal with Amoonguss. You don't have to run Bulletproof anymore because there's no Shadow Ball Fluttermane. That's a huge boon for it. Yeah, this Pokemon looks very strong. It like 1v1s a lot with the right Terra type, and you have 5 other Pokemon to beat Dondozo, so yeah, I think Como might be A tier. Yeah, it's gonna burn out a lot of very defensive cores. I guess Palafin cores can still haze it. For that reason, maybe it's A. I mean, if I'll have to reorder when everything's over. I think the Weezings probably don't stay in A, but yeah. Corviknight's real. It beats Incineroar pretty hard. It beats Rillaboom. Dondozo doesn't love it if you're Wave Crash Roost. After a bulk up, you knock out the Amoonguss. This is definitely a B tier Pokemon at minimum. With so much Intimidate in the format, I do think it's a fair call. I'm going to put it probably upper B tier. Is it better than Salamence? Generally, yeah. Smeargle, maybe. I might be underrating a lot of these Pokemon. I haven't fully thought it through, but I think these will be not the order, definitely not, but the general stuff. Dreadnought, it was good early regulation A. Is it still going to be able to compete? I kind of doubt it. But I did lose to it from Aaron Brock's, as part of his really solid rookie run at that regional. He beat me with the Dreadnought. So where do we put Dreadnought here? I don't think it holds up with the presence of Rillaboom, because you're very much forced to Terra into every team, whereas before you didn't necessarily have to. So that's pretty tough. It's kind of like the whole metagame is going to be centralizing. It'd be around beating Grass Dozo as one set, so I can see Dreadnought kind of being not great. Okay, that's actually where I would probably put it. Better than Lycanroc for sure. Better than Driller. Yeah, I could see like Clear Amulet. It does get a lot of its damage from Life Orb, and Incineroar's presence and a lot of the Intimidate Pokemon will be problematic. You have to go Terra Grass, otherwise you lose to Amoonguss and Rillaboom. I don't know about Dreadnought. I'm kind of in the middle on it. I'll probably go under. I feel like it has really positive matchups and really like weak matchups. I think it's probably better than Sableye and Excadrill, and probably around Hariyama. Hatterene, okay. Indeedee should be here, I think. I think it'll come in a second. It's probably like high C tier. Like, I don't really see it finding usage outside of a Trick Room team, but in the Trick Room team, it's going to be really strong. Maybe even stronger than Armarouge. Grimmsnarl, a decent supporter, probably about as good as Klefki. Maybe better. I'd probably rather be setting up Aurora Veil. That's the issue. Like, Aurora Veil vastly outclasses the screens. You can't get it up with priority, but you also have a weather ability to override rain. So, you know, give and take, but I do feel like Grimmsnarl is pretty not great. Walls out Incineroar decently well. You can go Fake Out. There's a lot of cute sets you can go on it, but I'm not sure if they justify its usage. There's not a lot of steel. Oh, Goldango's... Oh, Goldango. Yeah, you can't be running Grimmsnarl in a Goldango world whenever that comes. Alright, so Alchemy doesn't learn Trick Room. It gets Decorate and it gets Sweet Veil, which means your Pokemon on your side of the field can't be put asleep. There's a niche there. Probably just rather using Smeargle on a Trick Room team though, so I'm probably like bottom of C tier, I suppose, is like fair enough. If you have a Trick Room team with Ursaluna Blood Moon and you really otherwise lose to Amoonguss, I don't know. I'll put it C tier just because like I can see a use case for it. Stonejourner, Power Spot's a good ability. It can Helping Hand, it can Wide Guard, I believe, and it moves pretty fast. I believe it day 2 to regional. Yeah, it's probably around here. Let's not quibble about the ordering. Some people run Trick, like on hyper offensive teams, they run this Imprison offensive Mail Indeedee to beat Trick Room teams. I don't think that's bad. I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's awful. So this is going to be on a lot of ladder teams, but probably no serious tournament teams. So let's just throw it around the Power Spot guy. Indeedee, female. Overriding Rillaboom's terrain is important for some Pokemon. Follow Me is great. I think this is like definitely a B tier Pokemon, very squarely. Probably around Clefairy tier. Gothitelle. Dragapult's probably going to be pretty good. I don't think we had it in Regulation A, but it ended up doing really well in like a couple tournaments. I don't know. I think it's a strong Pokemon. You can go fast support Will-O-Wisp to Will-O-Wisp Dondozo. You can go Light Screen, Breaking Swipe. It's got a lot of stuff for sure. Not C tier by any means. Easily B tier. The Choice Band set with Follow Me is probably going to be difficult for this combination to deal with. It's definitely, I gotta give it probably upper A tier. I don't know exactly where it will fall. This is Intimidate Trick Room Pokemon, Weird Trick Room Pokemon tier, a go. Oh, that's the Sun tier. That's the Weird Sun Pokemon tier. Get out of there. Know your place, Stantler. Or not Stantler, other guy. The not Scizor, I forget its name, but it goes for Quick Guard and Stone Axe. And is that super valuable, Stealth Rocks, this format? For Incineroar it is, for sure. Pelipper, Gyarados, okay. Super effective against Arcanine as well. But you're running a Pokemon that is very bad against water types. You get intimidated. It's probably not awful. Sharpness Stone Axe hits very hard, as does X-Scissor, but I don't know if the coverage is there. I guess you're beating Incineroar and Rillaboom with that. So I've seen worse, but I've seen better. I'm going to put it maybe around Braviary tier. It's like probably there. It like beats the meta Pokemon, but like nothing else. Okay. Now we're getting crazy with it. Ursaluna. Guts, Facade, Insane Damage, Headlong Rush, Broken. Gotta be A tier. This Pokemon is going to enable Trick Room teams to be one of the strongest in the metagame just on its own. Handles Amoonguss pretty well. Like, I feel like in terms of power level, it's A. I don't know beyond that. Like, I'll put it there for now, just like, this is one of the premier powerhouses in the format. Ursaluna, Blood Moon, same deal. Yeah, sorry, the tier list is so big. It's like difficult to order. But yeah, the Blood Moon, just absurdly strong. Special, you can't intimidate it, but you are weak to Amoonguss and Trick Room, so that is worth noting. Bascu Legion, the female one is not good, as far as I can tell. So I guess the niche is that it is a Swift Swim Pokemon with like solidly consistent stabs of Shadow Ball and Ice Beam, but you still have to go for Hydro Pump or Muddy Water, and I'd really rather just be going for Last Respects and just overpowering opponents with Bascu Legion, I think. So for that reason, it's not a bad Pokemon by any means. Like, the coverage could be valuable, but it's probably like, it's like a rando Weather Abuser. It's not that solid, honestly. Compared to the alternative Bascu Legion, like, unless the world is really indexing around beating that, I can't imagine it's gonna be that bad or that good. So it's probably, I don't know, maybe Electrode tier. Bascu Legion. Let's get that guy up near the at least high B tier. This has the potential to be one of the premier fast Trick Room sweepers. Azumarill and Palafin I think will be the best rain sweepers overall, maybe even Tauros. But Basculegion is going to be the fast mode switch up that is going to be really dangerous for teams to handle in the late game with the last respects. I think it's probably up here in B tier or A tier. It seems strong, just straight up. We never got to see it shine at Worlds because a lot of the best players that were using it got disqualified, but yeah. Sneasler with Grassy Seed and Psychic Seed. Do we care about that? I mean, fighting coverage, solid against Incin and Rillaboom. Maybe it has some like cute cheese with Unburden that I can use against the Dondozo. You can like Dire Claw it and maybe you pull a sleep or something cheesy. Can't imagine it's great, but it's probably not awful. You'll definitely see it on ladder and be like, ah, this guy again. Hope I don't roll unlucky. Probably better than Volcarona though. Yeah, we'll go there. Volcarona's pretty solid. Better than Glade? Premier in a tier around. Overquill. New Rainsweeper, actually. Is it competing with Basculegion? How's the coverage? Is your Pelipper going to be enough to beat Incineroar? Maybe not. Swift Swim, Gunk Shot. Dondozo is going to be a problem for it. That's the main issue. You're not going to be able to outmuscle it, I think, and it's going to EQ you. So Overquill learns Haze, that immediately catapults it at least one tier in my book. As a solid Dondozo answer, it beats Rillaboom pretty hard with Gunk Shot if you hit. Beyond that, you do have Palafin for that, but you get outsped and hit pretty hard. It's going to be hard to get to Overquill in. That's the question. That's the issue, though. It's definitely something you can game plan around, like sacking a Pokemon and getting the Haze off, so I don't necessarily think it's a bad call. I have to imagine it's like it's like probably bottom of B tier. It's got its like moments, but not great. Flower Trick, the old school Dondozo counter. It also does pretty well against the Ursaluna forms if they do not Terra. They usually will though, and they can get Trick Room up pretty easily. I think no reason to really belabor it though. It's probably C tier if I can't think of any immediate reasons for it to be really. Let's throw it in around Excadrill tier, I'd say. Maybe a little better than Illumise. Alright, the Crocodile Dundee. I forget its name. Oops, I lost where Samurott was. Forgive me. So this was like kind of funny as an unaware Pokemon. You would Terra out of your weakness to the water types and then 1v1 Dondozo with Will-O-Wisp, Slack Off, Tort Song if they'd already burned their Terras. That was kind of interesting. Unfortunately, I think the Ursalunas kind of crushed this Pokemon. And there's so much water types in the format, you're going to be forced to Terra. This is like at best a C tier Pokemon, I would say. Probably around Meowscarada. Quaquaval, you are unfortunately the worst starter. By far, D tier. So, in a format where Dondozo is really good, you can kind of just revive your Dondozo, potentially, for some good effect. I actually I'm one of the few people to cut a regional ever with Palmot. I got top 32 at the San Diego regional with it. Unfortunately, got overshadowed by, I believe, Angel and Chuppa running it. Actually, no, Angel didn't run it. It was just Chuppa. Rest in peace, Angel. Yeah. Outside of that, there was, I think, was it Luca Paz who got second or first place at that European regional, potentially with Palmot as well. Yeah, it's a good Pokemon with Dondozo. It's definitely solid on those compositions. We can Double Shock. It's a decent Pokemon. I'm a fan of it. I think it's actually pretty strong. I'm not necessarily sure it deserves B tier, because it is very frail. Rillaboom's kind of a problem for it in terms of getting the Revival Blessings off and actually getting some mileage out of it. Intimidate's not great. But there are a lot of water types in this metagame, for sure. I feel comfortable putting it like high C tier. Like really high C tier. Probably around Murkrow, where it's like a central component of a important composition in the metagame. Mousehold. Is Population Bomb going to be as strong as it was before? Or is Friend Guard still going to remain the most dominant set? So the thing about these low power level formats, nothing's really that fast. So Mousehold gets to just move first and Population Bomb a lot of Pokemon, and that's kind of hard to deal with. Kind of necessitates Rocky Helmet Amoonguss. I feel like Mousehold's going to be pretty good. Mouseape's probably going to come back. Yeah, Mousehold's definitely going to be good. I'll put it around the follow me guys. Garganackle. So this was like the standout surprise of the first regional, with Maluko winning the tournament overall with it, and a couple other people having it and scattered throughout the top cut. But just a very, very powerful Pokemon. If you get Assault Cure against Dondozo, you can 1v1 it if you have the correct Terra types and the right partners. Wide Guard, Assault Cure, Recover, incredibly strong set. The problem is Rillaboom is going to be hard to beat. There's going to be a lot of water types that pressure it, but with the right Terra type, it can be strong. I don't know if it's going to be as strong. Like, what did it lose? I suppose is what we should ask. Wide Guard support still going to carry against Trick Room teams. Assault Cure going to be solid against all the Goldengos whenever we get there. Wide Guard with the right Terra type could be good. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a strong Pokemon for sure. I don't think it's A tier necessarily, but yeah, the Ursaluna has kind of hurt it. It can beat it 1v1 most of the time. Incineroar can taunt it, get out and out of there. Wait, I do feel like there is some level of power creep that's going to keep the Garganackle down a little bit, but it's still going to be good. I'd probably put it around like Gothitelle tier. It's still going to be solid, no doubt. Armarouge, like we're still doing the Meteor Beam stuff. It's like fine with Indeedee, I guess. It's probably like Hatterene-ish. I think Hatterene's a little bit better, but people will still run it. This Ceruledge had a very precise niche in that you could Terra Grass, bulk up Bitterblade sweep teams with Shadow Sneak. It was like decent against Flutterman. You could just Shadow Sneak one at KO it with Clear Amulet. The question is, how effective is that now? It's really bad against Dondozo. The Ursalunas don't care. Knockoff is still doing a lot, and then you can Parting Shot afterwards. You resist all the stabs. It's good against Rilla. Rain's really bad for it, which I expect to be a dominant archetype. Yeah, I feel like Ceruledge is definitely a C tier mon. Probably pretty low. Yeah, like probably around the crappy fire type Pokemon. Bellybolt had some juice at some point, I remember. It was on some annoying teams. It beats the electric types with the Parabolic Charge pretty easily, but two of the strongest Pokemon in the format being ground types is going to be a challenge for it. Rillaboom kind of does well against it a little bit. Yeah. I don't think Bellybolt's going to be crazy good. I feel like it's definitely a solid C tier Pokemon though. Better than the Trick Room setters. Maybe around as good as the Keys and the supporters. Bramblegast. Okay. So this Pokemon almost won World Championships. Who knows what would have happened if Amelia Forbes did not get a had to play sudden death and lost. So it's really good with Tornadus. It's not as strong with Whimsicott because you're going double grass, but that might be where situations where Talonflame comes out to shine. I might be underestimating that. Just having a non-grass type Tailwind Pokemon could be really valuable. Yeah, the second best Tailwind Pokemon in this format is probably Talonflame, which is super valuable. I think I'm going to raise Talonflame just because of that. I think because of its synergy with Bramblegast, it could be fine, but still not going to be that good. Let's call it better than... I guess you're probably just going with the Honchkrow still, or the Murkrow. I don't know. There might be some situations where it's a little better to run this guy. Yeah, Goldengo plus Bramblegast is going to be crazy. We'll see what emerges as the dominant Tailwind Pokemon to pair with the Bramblegast, whether it's the Talonflame, the Murkrow, or the Whimsicott, but I think that definitely gives an argument for Talonflame being decent. A couple niche communities have faith in the ability for the bird, not Unfazant, but it's broken in singles, speed boost, calm mind, stored power, etc. It's a good Pokemon, but I don't know if it is gonna crush it in doubles necessarily. It never has before. I'm probably gonna rank it pretty low, but there are some strategies where you can just get the calm mind, stored power, and get cooking. Tinkaton is interesting, probably not very good this format, but it always does have the value of being able to fake out through Armor Tail. That's, niche in itself. I'll probably put it around with the kind of cheesy supporter Pokemon. For that reason, it has like some niche, but not great. Wugtrio, bad. Bombardier, one of my friends lost to that. That was pretty funny, but it's pretty bad. Palafin, We'll put him up here because I think he's still strong. Is he stronger than Basculegion and friends? I don't know. I think the haze is super valuable. Rillaboom's kind of a problem for it. You can at least Aqua Jet. You can't U-turn out against it. I don't know. I feel like it's not S tier anymore because of the presence of Rillaboom. But haze is strong. You can build some compositions around it. I think it's still an A tier Pokemon potentially, maybe high B tier, but I'm not sure about that, like exactly where to put it. We'll figure out the ordering at the end, or maybe not at all. So this guy is Overcoat. It's kind of cute. We'll put it C tier because of that. I think it almost day 2 to regional. It's like got some strengths to it, but not ideal. Probably better than, maybe not Espathra. That's what it is. Finally got there. Pelipper, Regenerator guy. It's kind of cheesy. Orthworm. It's had some formats where it's been decent. It's probably a C tier Pokemon. What are you Earthquaking with? Not a lot. You could regen into... I don't know if Earthworm is that guy, but it's in there. It's in there. It's probably got a niche. A lot of the haze, a lot of the stuff's going to handle the Iron Defense set. Unfortunately, there's a lot of better Iron Defense Pokemon. So we'll put it around here, not super ordered. Mortal Spin, solid Dondozo answer, solid Dondozo partner. The Glamora gets a Meteor Beam now. It's at least B tier, I'd say. You can poison the Ursaluna before it comes in, do a little bit more damage than you would do otherwise, so that's kind of cool. I think Glamora is probably top of B tier. It's up there. It's really, really strong. The coverage with the Meteor Beam makes it way more threatening. You can go Assault Vest, Mortal Spin. It's got a lot of potential in the metagame. Amoonguss is kind of its worst enemy, but you can Meteor Beam through that now, so it's a cool Pokemon. This is actually pretty bulky with Fluffy. You can also go the Last Respects Sand Rush route. I don't think it's very good, but yeah, it's an option. Houndstone, Flamigo. It's been on some teams that have been really threatening, particularly Perish Song, Dondozo teams. The issue is Fluttermane was the best partner for those, and now it's gone. People are really going to struggle with a new fast partner Pokemon, so I think for that reason, Flamigo is probably low C tier. It's kind of going to be relegated to kind of cheesy strategies, but probably like a little more potent than Malamar ones, I guess. Yeah, let's put it around here. Probably better than Ceruledge. So another of the Hail Pokemon or Snow Pokemon that I did lose to in that regional was, forgot its name, but you know, with the bulk from Assault Vest, the speed from Snow Rush, and the general power, it can go Belly Drum if it wants to. It has a lot of sets it can go. I don't think it's generally very strong. It's probably a C tier Pokemon, somewhere in the tier of Rotom. Fan, Freezer form. Yeah, the Incineroar is going to wall it pretty hard, unless you use a Terra to boost your offense up. Not a huge fan. Annihilate, okay. Let's get the Annihilate in there. So Annihilate, Dondozo is like the one thing keeping Annihilate from being really broken a lot of the time. Just Defiant to beat Incineroar. Bulk Up beats this guy. Bulk Up beats him. Ursaluna. It's bad against Ursaluna Blood Moon, kinda, but you can still Drain Punch them for a lot if you have a Bulk Up. I think Annihilate's definitely A tier. Like, I feel pretty confident in that. It's just so bulky relative to the format's power level. I think it's definitely a dangerous Pokemon to deal with. Clodsire. Farigiraf. I feel like Farigiraf's interesting. The stronger a format's power level is and the more there's Fake Out, the better it is. The top Pokemon are like Incin and Rillaboom though, but they can kind of just like pivot out. There's no Electric Seed. You're getting knocked off now. So it's not that good. I think it's definitely like above C tier. It's going to be a premier Trick Room Pokemon, so you probably put it next to Torkoal. Yeah, it invalidates Palafin to some extent. In some circumstances, if you're running a fast Pokemon. Looking at this tier list though, everything up top looks really slow. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Speed's going to be very odd this format, I would guess. It's hard to order these tiers, like I've said. Then Dunsparce, it is a gimmick. You go for Rattled, you go for Stored Power, you Bullet Seeded or some cheese. I don't know, man. It's like cheese. It's not good, but you'll lose to it on ladder once and then you won't again. Kingambit, ho baby. Okay, we're almost done. Kingambit, great Pokemon. All the Intimidate, walls out Rillaboom pretty hard. And then is like stat checked by Dondozo a little bit, but that's fine. You can Lumberry to beat Will-O-Wisp. You can Lumberry to beat the Amoonguss. Got great coverage moves in Iron Head to beat the Ninetales. It's a strong Pokemon for sure. Is it S tier? I don't know. In terms of base stats, definitely you can Swords Dance on this Pokemon and just be such a threat with Terra Dark. Yeah, it's a hard Pokemon to beat. And I think with the Incin in the format, it actually gets even stronger potentially. But I'm not sure if it's number 1. Or if it's like S tier. It's definitely high A tier. Baxcalibur. Strong Pokemon. We'll see how it matches up into the rest to determine things. It beats Rillaboom very hard. Clear Amulet, Howl might get close to knocking out after a Howl. I guess there's no more Howl because Arcanine was its best partner for that. You could coaching it though. You could find ways to do that. It's fine against the Ursalunas. It's bad against Dondozo. It's really bad. Amoonguss, they usually tear out of it. It's like an okay Pokemon. I think it's like generally quite strong. It was really strong in Regulation A, but you have to run Clear Amulet, which kind of limits its output. But does well against the Grass type Pokemon, or the Water type. But if the Basculegion takes over or the Azumarill takes over, then the Baxcalibur just has a very miserable time. It might be top of like high on B tier, I'd say. Hard to say. Goldengo though, Goldengo is like almost certainly the most dominant offensive Pokemon in the format. Outside of the Ursalunas and Dondozo, I think we can just put it there and like put that to bed. The Make It Rain is just in a low power level format that's hitting so hard. If you hit a Nasty Plot up, you're 1-hit KOing pretty much everything, or at least you're 2-hit KOing all the resists and getting out the next one. So that's like so good. Sinistra. So finally a format where Amoonguss might not be just like, you know, there's a lot of other Pokemon. You might have some value for the Matcha boost. I think Amoonguss is definitely better, but you're immune to... Ooh, the Ursaluna matchup is very important, actually. So Sinistra is actually immune to Facade, High Horsepower. It's going to lose to the Terra Normal Ursaluna for sure. I think it does pretty well into Dondozo, honestly. Not great against Incineroar, but, you know, that's a lot of Pokemon. I feel like Sinistra is pretty good here. Might be an A tier Mon if it beats Ursaluna that hard, but, you know, it also has its weaknesses. Strength Sap's a broken move. It's a good Trick Room Pokemon. It could just be the Trick Room setter next to these guys. Yeah, that's worth considering. There's not a lot of crazy strong Trick Room Pokemon other than Farigiraf, I think. I don't know where I put that. Would I put it right there? I think it might be better than Farigiraf, honestly. Yeah, Sinistra seems very, very strong this format. Wow, okay. We might have a Sinistra format. That's exciting. So our Chaladon, one of the last Pokemon, might be kind of broken with Pelipper. Just Electro Shot. The Pokemon in this format might not be able to keep up outside of Dondozo. Yeah, seems strong. At least A tier next to Pelipper. I don't know where in the tier it falls, but yeah, seems very strong. And then this guy, it's probably going to be kind of mid, but not awful. The order of weakness is kind of problematic, and I don't know if the damage is going to be that great. There's some competition for good grass types. There's some competition for good dragon types. I think it's kind of mid. I'd probably put it pretty low. Maybe around like middle of C tier, but that does look like it is everyone just going up from the S tier. I think we can try and order it within the tiers, but I think these are like a good representation of the best offensive and defensive options in a format. Maybe Azumarill is like a little lower, but Belly Drum Aqua Jet's an option as well. Probably not so much with Rillaboom in the tier, but yeah, Azumarill with Rillaboom legal, probably not ideal. Maybe like B tier or something. Yeah, let's put it around. I'd say probably around here. Let's take out Persian. That Pokemon's not going to last in this format. Hitmontop could be okay. Maybe bottom of the tier. Brambleghast seems like decently strong in some respects. It can Strength Sap stuff. It's like decent. It's not amazing, but the weakness to Incineroar is pretty bad. This can Haze. This is like, you know, your cheesy Dondozo answer, I guess. These guys can have some cheesy stuff too. Yeah, Gastrodon. I don't know about Dragonite, truthfully. I think the power might just not really be there, but I can't really bring it that low. These guys feel pretty consistently strong. Dragapult, is there an argument for that being higher? It does beat, with Follow Me, it can beat the supports in the format pretty consistently. Salamence has to go a little lower, I think. It just loses so hard to Kingambit and Goldango, that's the problem. Terra Ghost, is that going to be as good as it was in like some regulations? Possibly. It's probably going to be pretty good. Yeah, let's put Dragapult pretty high. Probably higher than Baxcalibur. Not better than Whimsicott, though. I might be sleeping on Whimsicott a little bit. I just don't think the speed tiers in this format are that crazy, so you don't need Whimsicott. Like a Choice Scarf on a Pokemon should suffice. Glimmora seems probably pretty broken. Yeah, this is like roughly ordered, but not definitely not going to be as ordered as it should be. Kingambit, I think Pelipper's probably better than Rain. Chaladon. Actually the Fire Taurus is kind of cool. It beats Incineroar, Rillaboom, Goldango. And with a Terra, it can Will-O-Wisp the Dondozo. That's interesting. You can copy with Mirror Herb, you can copy their boost when they switch in and then go for a Will-O-Wisp, I think. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff here. I feel like the Weezings maybe go up a tier. It depends on which Pokemon they're with though, right? Let's put them in B tier, like upper B tier. Because people are just going to run Command Ability Shield on the Tatsugiri anyways with Weezing legal, so it's not going to be that effective at dealing with it, unfortunately. It's just going to necessitate responses. So let's put it a little bit lower. Maybe around... It's like probably low B tier. I think Mamoswine's worse than I think it is, most likely. It's like not great. I think Dondozo, really just looking at this tier list, is just seeing that Dondozo just kind of invalidates a lot of Pokemon. I was hoping it was going to be that crazy. There's definitely some counterplay, but the Dondozo players are definitely very creative. It's going to be hard to, it's kind of like a vicious cycle. You build the Dondozo counterplay, they build the Dondozo counterplay, and so the cycle repeats. Ursaluna is going to be very difficult to beat in Trick Room teams. Goldango on Tailwind teams going to be very difficult. And then the main defensive glue on the format is probably going to be Incineroar, Rillaboom, and then potentially Amoonguss or Sinistcha over Rillaboom, or even in combination with it. Secondary Steel type, the Kingambit. Picking your water type is going to be important. Our Chaladon should be good on Rain. A lot of water types to pick from offensively, whether it be the Palafin, the Basculegion, or the Azumarill. So yeah, this has been a very long video. I don't think there's any point in continuing much longer. If you guys enjoyed this video, got a good overview of the power level of the format, kind of got an estimate of where things might shake out in terms of what Pokemon are available and where they will end up in terms of usage stats, please subscribe to the channel. I had a lot of fun making the video. Hope you guys did as well. If you want to see more of these type of videos, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what other type of Regulation H and Regulation G content you want to see until that format ends. And yeah, with all that being said, peace y'all.